You'd never know it, but my dad died riding this bike. I've spent the past year rebuilding it to finish the ride he couldn't. Today's the day. I'm gonna finish his ride. This ride's for you, Dad.
I used to beg like a sinner, looking for someone to blame. I could be happy, I know, if I could play a different game.
As I approach the meetup spot, I'm hit with so many different emotions. It's kind of hard to put into words. I'm excited, yet sad, all at the same time. We're gonna finish this together, Dad.
So how many people are with us?
I don't know.
You got both your bikes out here, huh?
3 of them.
3 of them? Oh dang, he lets you ride the hot rod, huh?
It was truly amazing to see so many guys show up and join us. They couldn't help but admire your bike and the new paint job. Some even felt like you were there with us. I know you were, and there's no doubt you had a huge impact on all of our lives. I thanked everyone for joining and told them my plan to continue the ride past the spot where yours ended. We sure miss you so much. We said a quick prayer and then hit the road. As Scott and I rode bar to bar down Main, it was tough. That was something I always dreamed we'd be doing, but we never got the chance to. As we approached the spot where your ride was cut short, it got real. Scott waved me on so I could lead us through. My mind raced with so many thoughts and emotions, grief, tears, and yet somewhere in the mix there was some joy. As I rode through that corner, I knew you were smiling down as we start a new chapter.
So the day my dad passed away, it was October 18th. It was about 2 o'clock in the afternoon is when he passed away. Let me backtrack. So that Saturday I had called him and we were going to meet up and he going to grab dinner together, and we were going to meet up in Ramona. So I told him, I was like, okay, I'm going to come up there. Let's meet up. Let's grab food. And I always had this thing, wherever I got off the phone with a loved one, I always said, all right, I love you, bye. And so at about 12:55, I got off the phone with him and he said, hey, I'm going to run down to Lakeside. I'm going to take my Harley and then I'll come back up and we'll meet up. I said, all right, I love you, Dad. Be safe. I hung up the phone, met up with my sister and brother and mom to get some yogurt. And we're sitting there in the yogurt barn in town, and we're sitting there and 2 cops walk up to me in the yogurt barn and they say, hey, can you come out here? And I'm like, what the heck, what's going on? And so I walk outside and all my family's sitting inside and they say, hey, your dad crashed and he didn't make it. And I remember that day, it's seared into my memory where like your whole world stops. Like you just don't know. I didn't believe it. I told them, no, there's no way, that didn't happen. No. And they're like, yeah, he's gone. And so I remember they said, do you want to go in and tell your family? And so I walked back in there and told my mom and sisters, and they were all crushed and devastated. And it was just, it was traumatizing. So what had happened was on that ride when he left, he was going around a corner on Wildcat Canyon Road and he kind of overshot the corner and him and a car met on the double yellow and the bike went off the embankment and he ended up underneath the car. And that's just kind of where it ended for him. And so, yeah, that's how it happened. And it's something that is so crazy to even have to kind of talk about and think about. And I think the biggest thing that after experiencing that was like the aftermath is like you're in shock, but then you're angry at him, you're angry at other people, you know, hey, why didn't someone else, why couldn't they paramedics get there or this or that? And you know, you want to blame, but that's just the process of grief and emotion. It's like this roller coaster. And so I realized after experiencing it that, like, you know, when you find someone that they say, oh, I lost a parent or I lost a sibling or this or that, I was always just like, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I never really truly knew what they were experiencing. Now when I hear that, I'm like, it rocks my world because I know how it feels personally, and makes me a lot more empathetic for that. After my dad passed away, you know, my grandpa had the bike and I wanted it because it was my dad's bike. And he, you know, was like, no. And so it was one of those things where it was like really hard, where I was like, okay, you know, I'm not gonna get it, even though it was like passion we both shared and stuff. And I didn't talk to my grandpa for 6 years. You know, there was animosity, bad blood, and I didn't talk to him for 6 years. And one day I was working and it was like, I still remember it. It was about 2 years ago, no, a year and a half ago. I was just working and I felt it really heavy on my heart. You know, when you have something heavy on your heart and you're like, uh-oh, man upstairs is talking to me. I gotta do something. So it was heavy on my heart, and he's like, you know, you should just call your grandpa. I just kept feeling that. And so one night I picked up the phone and I called him and I was like, what's going on, Grandpa? And so I just talked to him, and we got to talking, and you know, we started texting and kind of mended that relationship. And then it was 6-7 months later, I was sitting on the couch and I got a text and he said, hey, when are you gonna come pick up your dad's bike? And it was something I never in a million years thought I was gonna be able to get my dad's bike back and actually rebuild it and share the process with people, and my wife, who she rides, and be able to ride the bike that my, you know, dad passed away on. Losing my dad, you know, it's like you almost want to turn your back on God and be like, hey, you let this bad stuff happen to me. How could you do that if you're a good God and you bless people and all this and stuff? So it was hard. And for a lot of years after, it was, you know, I didn't lose my faith, but I kind of felt a certain way about it, you know. But it's like, you got to have your faith regardless how dark of times you're going through, because without him, it's that much darker. And so it was just one of those things where it's like, I don't know why this happens. I don't know, have all the answers. but I'm just the creation. I don't need to be questioning the creator. And so I just kept chugging along, and look at what we saw today. Like all these people that came out here for my dad. My dad wasn't a rich dude. He was someone who was rich by investing in other people's lives. And that's why I was like, with this bike, I want to share it. I don't want to keep stuff so tight and personal. I want to kind of share and let his legacy live on. What do you think is your most fond memory or like impactful thing that?
The most impactful thing is him always trying to find me fail. Always trying to find where I didn't respond right. And it was kind of fun. Just, I don't know, because it kept me on my game, you know what I mean? To be better at whatever, whether it's, riding or treating other people well or responding to my wife, he goes, he'd get me outside and says, man, that face you gave your wife, what's up with you? And I'm like, what, dude? And he goes, that face. And I'm like, I don't know about the face, dude. I have a face. And so it helped me with my face, because apparently I used to make even gnarlier a face.
Yeah, try to hold you accountable, huh?
Yeah.
That's what he is always, at least that's what I remember. He's always good.
That was my favorite thing. My favorite thing. Just, but he was just fun to hang out with. He's kind of funny. He's super smart about motorcycles, smarter than me. He didn't really care if it was super perfect.
Flashy.
Yeah, no. Even though like he had some flashy stuff. Yeah. I mean, he's got his Mercedes. He had his big huge truck with too much suspension on it and all that fancy stuff. But then he started getting into motorcycles. He just wanted to go fast.
Yeah, he didn't care what it looked like. He just wanted to.
Yeah, he just wanted to go fast. And he had fun. And he could ride super good. Dirt bikes, he could me and my son. He was like a dad to my son, which was rough. Which was also good, because my son could share stuff to him. But yeah, it was hard on my son when he left. But he's hanging with my son now.
Yeah, they're the lucky ones. They're both up there, and we're
we're still having to fix motorcycles that don't work. Yeah, it's all good. But hey, thank you for coming down and doing this.
Thank you for doing this. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it. I love your dad, man. Yeah, he's good. God put him in my life for a lot of help in hard times. So that's all I gotta say.
How's my hair?
Shut up.
All right, Brian. So okay. I know you knew my dad pretty well, and you guys rode and did some stuff together. Do you have anything like fond memories or stuff you want to share that, like how he impacted you and stuff like that?
Yeah, for about a year, maybe a year and a half, right before he died, we would meet at that Mexican restaurant. The people, not the barn restaurant, but they called it the barn, El Mohican or something. Or
El Machacan.
El Machacan.
Yeah.
So your dad and I used to meet almost every Friday at like 12 and have lunch for about a year, and I do have one good memory. I've been writing some books lately, and even in that time I was writing a few books, and I asked your dad, I said, what would be a good theme or a good idea for a book? And he said, people need hope. So I'll write a book about hope. So it's something I'm kind of been working on, and so if I ever finish it up, I might dedicate it to him. I don't know, we'll see. So, but I think your dad was, Aaron, was coming around and really serving God at the time, and I think he wanted to give hope to you all as kids and hope to everyone, really. That was one of my best memories of your dad.
The tank, it was pretty messed up, and as well as the rear fender. So my dad's friend Scott and my grandpa, they sent the tank out to San Diego, where we actually are now, and redid the tins on it, did this custom paint job with my dad's memorial on it, which turned out awesome. It's just, I think, the focal point of the bike. It's really, really nice to have that and have a picture of him, kind of let his memory live on. As far as the motor, he had the motor built. I didn't have to do anything other than change the oil, a battery, and a starter solenoid. So the mechanical stuff was all there. When it comes to the suspension, the rear shock was completely, they were done. They were broken off, so I had to redo the rear suspension. So I replaced it with Olin's. And then his tire that he was running was completely bald. So I installed new tires. And then Custom Dynamics actually found out I was doing a build, and they hooked me up with a tail light, license plate mount, and then the new Shark Demon headlight, which I'm kind of excited to ride this thing at night and see how bright it actually is. So those are kind of the main things I did. The exhaust, I left that on here. I wanted to keep as much stuff as I could that kind of is like a memorial to the crash and stuff. But so I got the exhaust. It's still got some of the road rash here from the crash. And then he's got the floorboards, which they're still damaged, but we'll leave those. It gives character, you know, and so that was kind of cool that I could leave those on there. And so, yeah, I left pretty much everything I could that I could still ride with safely. I left it on there just to be part of the bike and part of the story. So I just wanted to give you guys a quick overview, and thank you for sharing along with this process. It's been awesome.
Now that the ride was done, I decided to go back to the spot, alone, to process and just take it all in.
So what happened was he was coming that way on that corner over there. He was gonna head down to Lakeside and go do a few things. And him and I were gonna meet up later on that evening, grab some frozen yogurt, catch up. It'd been a while since we talked. And so he was headed up this way, and I'm sure the bike was probably running great, and he was ripping it and having a good time. And this is the curve that got him. He basically, on this curve right here is where it went down, and the car was headed down this way, and that's where him and the car collided, and the bike went off down this little embankment. That's where we recovered the bike from. Almost 7 years ago is where his bike ended up, down here. And down here is where I found some pieces of it and his hat, some other stuff, and so that's where it ended up.
We held on tight, but it felt so long. Tell me, where did we go wrong?
I took us down Maine one more time, Dad. So many memories. As I rode through it, I was reminded how this build and journey did more than just get your bike back on the road. Even though you aren't here, you found a way to bring us together one more time, which I really enjoyed.
That's what was crazy, is like coming back here and then riding Dad's bike after like 6 years of it being gone and never having it, and then being able to rebuild it and then bring it back here. Like going up Wildcat Canyon, that was crazy. Like, what were you thinking? What did that feel like? Well, it was a bunch of different things, because it was stressful because I only put like 10 miles on the bike before I did the ride. So then I'm like, well, hopefully it doesn't break down. And then I'm on the road and it's like, this is where Dad died, and you know that, okay, right here at this turn is where someone's life ended. Mm-hmm. But then at the same time, so it's like you're kind of sad because of that, but at the same time it's like,
was the feeling, the last feeling.
Yeah, like imagine if that was my last moments, you know, going around that corner. That was his last moments, and so that's what's crazy about it. But then at the same time, it's like, I don't know, it's kind of refreshing too, because it's like that's where it ended for him, but to be able to go back and like rebuild his bike nicer than he had it, because you know him, he just was always like, I mean, when I got that thing, there was an old bungee cord, like a yellow bungee cord that he tried to match the bars.
Yeah, he built it
to keep his hat on there.
Yeah, he did it the best way he could, what he had, even though he had a lot. He was more prioritized on giving us stuff, and taking care of people around him.
Well, yeah, that was
other than going out and buying the nicest bike when he easily could have.
Going there, 6 years ago to that spot versus going there now, it felt like there's almost like I was able to close that chapter. Not really fully close it, but at least kind of like move past it and like be like, okay. It's almost like I feel like there was a little bit more rest put there, and now it's like, let's move, instead of grieving Dad so much, let's like try to live his legacy, because we're the only two that carry on his name. And like, instead of being bitter and upset and all that about what happened to him and how he was only 48 when he passed away, it's like, look at all the guys that showed up to ride. Look at that legacy. I mean, don't you want to be like, I know if I died tomorrow, like, wouldn't you want that many people to show up and be like, hey, I'm doing a ride for Zeb?
Well, yeah, that's the crazy thing. Like, even his funeral service at Mountain View, what they say, how many people showed up? More people than an average Easter Sunday showed up to that. It's crazy, the impact.
Well, it's like they say,
do anything.
Time heals all wounds. It doesn't. It just allows you to cope with it better. And so it's like you can process it easier. All the hurt, all the pain is still there. Yeah. But it's like, that's why at least for me doing that ride, that's why I wanted you to at least be there and be able to experience it. But now you can be like, hey, you know what? He passed away, he died, but let's make sure that his legacy didn't end on that corner of Wildcat Canyon Road. But yeah, it's crazy because it's unfortunate I never got to ride with him like on the street, because we grew up going to the desert. I know, like when I started riding with him, he always wanted me to ride the old Trail 70. Remember that thing?
Yeah.
And I jumped on it. Yeah, actually on this property down at the front. He's like, you need to learn how to ride a motorcycle. I was like 5 years old at the time. Had an ATC 70 that I would ride. I jump on the Trail 70 and the throttle sticks and it starts tearing up the property, and he's like, let off the gas, and I'm like, I'm not on the gas. And then he runs over and grabs me and the thing goes crashing. And for that point on, for like a couple years, I didn't even want to ride a motorcycle.
That's how it was with the desert too, because I had that, what was it, YZ85, and I was always like going down pole line, and I'd like tap the, what is it, the power band.
Oh, the power band, yeah, you hit the power band and almost fly off the back.
Almost fly out. It would be super slow, and then you'd hit the power band and I'd fly, and that was only like 130 pounds.
I'll remember, I don't think it was that one, because he had a 426 before he got that one.
Mm-hmm.
But remember, he's always trying to ride wheelies everywhere, and he came up the driveway at this house, and as soon as where the asphalt and the concrete meet, it's a little slick, and so he's like riding wheelies up the road, and then he hits the asphalt. There's like that little lip, so he had the front end come down, and then he hit that little lip right there, kind of caught a little air, so then he locked it up, slid straight into the house, took out a corner of the garage, and then hit his bars, hit his thigh, and he had a hematoma.
Yeah, massive bruise all the way down his leg. Yeah, I remember that. I was inside, I think, and I just hear a smack.
A little boom on the house.
Yeah. I went outside, the whole corner of the stucco was chipped off.
But yeah, it's crazy to be back here. It's like, okay, you come back, but at the same time, after leaving for so long, it's like you come back and some of the stuff is all still the same.
We did it, Dad. Man, it wasn't easy. And it took over 6 years to get to this point. And honestly, it was one of the hardest things I ever had to do. But past all the hurt and tears, there was healing. Now I'm turning the page. That chapter is finished. You left some big shoes to fill, but going forward, I'm going to carry on what you started. Your legacy will continue. I love you, Dad.